Association. And so in order to introduce my team, let me just introduce the team who are hosting us today. So I pass on the floor to Mafalda.
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Mafalda Quintas. I work in COST in the Science Operations team. I'm a science officer, and I'm very happy to be here with you and today and provide you an overview of the new rules for the management of cost actions.
Thank you, Mafalda. Joining us today as well, supporting us in the Q&A, are other two administrative officers, Tanya and Svetlana. Tanya, I'll let you go first.
Thank you, Jix. Well, my name is Tanya Gonzalez-Obin. I'm an administrative officer as well, and I'm going to support the team with the Q&A. So feel free to ask questions. We are going to answer. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tanya. Svet.
Hello, good morning, everybody. My name is Svetlana Voinova. I'm a cost administrative officer, and today I will be in this supportive role. I will be the technical host of this webinar, and I will be supporting Carmencita and Mafalda in running this webinar smoothly. Thank you.
Next slide. So anyway, just to move forward, our etiquette for today. So you've seen that it was recorded. It's being recorded. Yes, I've already seen a question like, is this going to be shared? Yes, yes, it will be resent to all of you. And do feel free to forward to whomever you think will benefit from the information that we provide here today. Could be cost action members as well, because you hold your network. So your name will not be visible, only to us, the panelists. Your audio and video are disabled as attendees. And please do use the chat function only for technical issues. For example, it's like you're talking too fast or something similar. However, we do have a Q&A function. So if there is something that is not clear to what we have just presented, simply type in the question and our team will be readily available to answer it. And then also at the end of the webinar, we will also have some Q&A, some time for Q&A. You can ask questions anonymously, and you can also upvote others' questions in case that somebody already typed in your question for you. Thank you. So why are we here today? The purpose of the webinar series is to inform about the main changes to the rules impacting cost actions. For those who have already have past experience with cost, currently running cost actions, we have aimed to simplify the way we do things, and we do hope that you will see the same things that we do. It's all for the best. So what's our planning like? So today we will have the overview. It's just a general introduction of what has changed. We're not going to go into the nitty-gritty details of things because we know that we only have 1 hour for today. However, we do invite you to join us on the next dates as well, where we will actually focus on meetings and training schools, the mobility of researchers and innovators and presentations at external conferences, dissemination and communication products, ORSA, and other expenses incurred for the benefit of the action. So again, all of these are also going to be recorded and made available to everyone. So I pass on the floor now to Mafalda, who will just give us a general overview. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I don't know if I'm working from home today, so I don't know if you hear all the noise in the background because my neighbor decided also to start the works. But this is life in the pandemic, so I hope that you still can hear me. So the overview, so what are the main changes that we have in the simplification of the rules for managing cost actions? Basically, there are changes that are related with how an action is managed, how the management committee works. There are changes that are related with new definitions and revised definitions in cost. There are changes that come out of the change in the EU legislation from Horizon 2020 to Horizon Europe. So rules that apply in all the European Commission funding. And there are also some changes in the financial rules aiming at the simplification for the implementation of the activities and reporting. Regarding the action management, we already had a very nice webinar that hopefully you joined in 29th of June, and we also invite you to revisit the recording of that webinar if you want to be reminded of all the details. But these are three main aspects. We have a clear distinction between what is the country participation to a cost action and what is an individual participation to a cost action. We have a very clear definition that countries and multinational organizations can be members of the cost action. And when we are talking about individuals, anyone can join a cost action as a working group member. And it doesn't matter where the participant is working or coming from. There are also some changes in the leadership positions. For example, there is the opportunity to have more leadership positions officially recognized on the cost website. There is the opportunity for more types of participants to be holders of these leadership positions. There is a new leadership position that is the grant awarding coordinator that merges all the different, in one single person, gives the possibility to manage all the different grants that are awarded by the action. And we also have changes in the composition of the management committee. Most of you have been informed recently, like the also in the substitution of the action. So currently, from now on, the MC member can choose who is the person that substitutes him or her for a meeting or for a period of time, and also on the decision making by the management committee. There's also changes in the nomination to the MC. From now on, the MC is empowered from the day of the meeting starts. The MC is empowered to accept or not people in the management committee. Moving forward, we have the changes that come from the revised definitions. There's a new definition that is the young researcher and innovator. Basically, this is a refactoring of the previous targeted audience that was the early career investigators. And why do we have this change? We have this change because we observed that early career investigator was someone with a PhD and less than 8 years experience after the PhD. We observed that we were targeting only people in traditional academic careers. And we wanted to make sure that we could also help promote the careers of people that work in research and innovation, but don't necessarily have the traditional career path of having a PhD or studying for a PhD. So we, under this new definition, we have the young researcher and innovator, that is by definition any researcher or innovator under the age of 40. There is also an important change that is regarding the affiliation of participants. Why is this important? Because the affiliation of a participant is what establishes the eligibility to receive funding from the cost action. And now it is clear from the rules that an affiliation is any form of a recognized relationship between an individual and a legal entity. This can be a work contract, of course, but it can also be enrollment in a research performing study program, voluntary service in an NGO, emeritus professorship, guest researcher, guest professorship. So any kind of recognized relationship that doesn't have necessary to be a work contract. The changes that come from the EU legislation basically is the change on the list of what are the countries that qualify as inclusiveness target countries. In summary, Greece is now an inclusiveness target country. Luxembourg is no longer an inclusiveness target country. This list, as you know, is established by the European Commission, so it's not established by cost, and is part of the widening agenda of the Horizon program, before Horizon 2020 and now Horizon Europe. And if you are following this agenda, you can see that in Horizon Europe, the researchers from the outermost regions can also be considered ITC. This means that, for example, researchers in French Guiana, Guadeloupe, Martinique, Mayotte, La Réunion, and Saint Martin, they can, for example, apply for an ITC conference grant. The same thing for the Canary Islands in Spain. Azores and Madeira, that are the other outermost regions of the European Union, were already an ITC country because they were counted as Portugal. So we have also some changes in the funded activities, and I think that now I call on Carmenchita.
Yes. So what are funded activities that cost actions can spend their budget on? So some tools or activities remain. So we have qualified them into two. So one are networking activities, where you will see events, and under events, you will still see our familiar meetings and training schools. Also, under networking activities is a banner called Mobility of Researchers and Innovators. And under this umbrella, you will find short-term scientific missions and virtual mobility grants. Presentations at external conferences is also a big umbrella where we have put ITC conference grants and dissemination grants, which used to be dissemination meeting. Okay, so it's like networking activities where people actually move around and network and meet other people. Now, the other big umbrella, is other expenses specifically supporting the action. And under these, you will find dissemination and communication products, and also expenses incurred for the benefit of the action. And under these, you will find OERSA, other expenses related to scientific administration, and virtual networking support grants. So we have just renamed it. The basic tenets are still there. So you will see later on, as we move on to the other webinars, the benefits of these changes. So the funding schemes, what are they? So we have for meetings and training schools, we do reimburse and do stay the same reimbursement of participants' expenses based on their travel. So, and also local organizer support still remains. So anyone or a local organizer organizes a training school or meeting can benefit to become can receive financial support in order to host this particular meeting or training school. So the next slide will show fixed grants, reimbursement based on fixed grants to individuals. And under these, you will see mobility of researchers and innovators. And what did I say under research? Mobility of researchers and innovators are short-term scientific missions and virtual mobility grants. Okay, so they remain reimbursed based on fixed grants. Presentations at conferences organized by third parties, we have here under is ITC conference grants and dissemination grants. it's kind of like just to put it into clarify that virtual networking support will remain as a grant even if it is under the umbrella of other expenses incurred for the benefit of the action. Okay. So moving on, so we've had so far reimbursement based on travel. We have reimbursement based on fixed grants, and now we have payment based on receipts and invoices. And under these, you will find dissemination and communication products, where you will find or claim expenses for the website, flyers, brochures, in order to increase the visibility of the action, and also other expenses related to scientific activities or ORSA. So here are remaining bank statements for transfers made to pay individuals and such. So we do need and please do note, it remains the same. VAT cannot be claimed from cost. So all invoices can be reimbursed minus VAT. So for the eligibility, that must be on top of your minds as well. So who is eligible for funding? So we have kind of reconstructed it in such a way to make it more simple and better to understand. Whereas before, I'm talking to currently running cost actions, your eligibility will depend on the role in the action. For example, I'm an MC member, I'm always eligible to go to an MC meeting, so on and so forth. But now we have changed it. So how do we go through this table? On the top row, you will see the networking activities, meetings, training schools, and other networking activities. And also the role. Is it an individual, invited individual, a local organizer, a trainer or trainee, and so on. The first column actually says affiliation. So basically how it changed is that now funding, eligibility to receive funding will now depend on where the participants' affiliation is coming from. Let's make a concrete example. I'm a researcher coming from a legal entity in a cost, full, or cooperating member, let's say Italy. Means you see the green tick, I can be eligible to receive reimbursement for attending a meeting. I can be a local organizer. I can be a trainer or a trainee in a training school, and be also to host and receive funding as a local organizer. But of course, Italy is not an ITC, so not a conference grant perhaps, but probably someone like from Croatia or Hungary, and all the others. I can perform an SDSM. So the second row after is, in case you're wondering, what is a CPM? It's actually a cost partner member, and currently we only have South Africa. So cost partner members are funded with their own dedicated budget line. So they do not actually receive funding from the action. Remember, we are talking about eligibility here. So what we have always said, anyone can participate in a cost action, but eligibility will depend on the participant's affiliation. So I'll give you another example. How about I'm a researcher coming from the bottom, it is IPC or third state. Here you can see the conditions have changed. If I am an invited individual to a meeting, I can only be reimbursed once during the lifetime of an action. I cannot be a local organizer, right? But however, you will see I can be reimbursed as a trainer in a training school. And for the rest, unfortunately, I can no longer be eligible for funding. So this is how you read this table. And this table actually you can find on page 59 of the annotated rules. So if somebody asks you, a grant holder manager who is attending today says, am I eligible to receive funding? You can always refer them to this table. Have a look, where is your main affiliation? And from here, you can deduce where you can be eligible to receive funding. So also, as a last note, ITC conference grants are limited to young researchers and innovators from cost ITC, and also we have opened it also to young innovators coming from near neighbor countries or NNC. So changes for location of activities. So similar to the table previously, you will see on the top row is the activity or networking activity, whereas meetings, training schools, and others, which is short-term scientific fiction, STSMs, VMs, right? So how do you read this table? Can I hold, if the location is a cost full or cooperating member, you can hold a meeting and you can hold a training school in this location. How about a near neighbor country? It's the same. You can hold a meeting in a near neighbor country or a training school and also perform STSMs if you're coming from a near neighbor country. So where does it change? An action cannot hold a meeting in an IPC or third state. What is an IPC? A sample of an IPC or third state, in case you are not familiar, the US, Japan, Australia, any country in South America. This is what we call or consider an international partner country or third state. And you actually, right beside it, you will see for training school and other networking activities is a green tick, which is a very positive change. Meaning, an action can have a training school as long as it is deemed scientifically relevant to hold training schools in IPC or third states, perform an STSM in a third state, and also dissemination grants, and also ITC conference grants. You see here a row for specific organizations. So the rule is applicable to where the territory is vested. So where the specific organization is located at can hold an activity in that location. So you've heard me mention annotated rules, or also Mafalda. So where will you find this document in case you're not familiar? So please do go to our website, cost.eu. You will see funding and you will see also documents and guidelines. Click on documents and guidelines. And when you click on that, you will see a set of documents. And just please kindly look for annotated rules for cost actions. All your supporting documents in order to run a cost action is there.